Welcome back, everybody, to the CHG podcast.
Hey guys, guess what? The Winter Olympics are on. I don't know if you knew, because fucking no one does, but the Winter Olympics are happening right now. It's fucking crazy.
I thought you were actually going to bring up your hand.
Oh yeah, I also hurt myself.
Because that seems like something you would absolutely get that out of the camera.
Fucking hurts. It hurts. It doesn't hurt that much, but like I still can't make like a fist totally without
it hurting, without it really burning. Oh yeah, like with the skin stretching over the the
knuckle. The swelling finally went down, but
it was swelling too.
Just around that, so like I physically couldn't close my knuckle all the way.
Damn, son.
Don't get into fights with walls, guys.
Or don't try to prove a point to your wife.
Or she does this to you. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Ever go to watch an anime and it just ends up turning into a hentai?
I mean, not straight up, because like you only find hentai like I mean maybe on like I guess on like a not like a free site, like a not legal site, there might be them intermixed, but there's ones that's close. Like I went into Your Dress Up Darling, and like I kind of expected a little.
Bro, that's not even close to hentai. All right,
no, it's not even close to hentai. But like I was expecting like a little ecchi, but like then it was just like not only is it a lot ecchi, it's like top tier.
Okay.
Like ecchi.
Okay, like, it is top tier, yes. But if you think that's a lot of ecchi, bro, you don't even know, man.
I mean,
that is tame. That is tame.
He's got pussy up in his face. He's like,
not every episode. Only like
not every episode.
Like one time.
Which is what makes it great, because it's like it's like when you're dating a girl, like having it all the time might be fun for a little bit, but after a little bit, it's just
because then you can't like, think about it afterwards. You can't like let it marinate in your head, the fantasies and stuff
you want
at school, and you're like, oh my god, that was great, and you can't do none of that.
Exactly.
Because every day. No, but like I was just saying, I want this like so I'll be on YouTube, right, and I get these clips, these anime clips, the ones. I'm sure you watch them, and it'll give the title of the show, right, but it's in Japanese. I don't know what the fuck it says, and I'm not an anime guy. So I don't even know what's going on, right? And since if it was a hentai, you can't show that on YouTube anyways. So I have no idea. There's been a couple of times where I'm like, I think this might be, but like sometimes I don't know, because some of these are getting wholesome, bro. Like these hentais are getting like they're not what they used to be. But anyways.
Well, okay, so like along the same lines, right? I was on fucking YouTube Shorts and just strolling through shit, and one of them is this one like this guy like is in a kitchen, walks by like who he thinks is his wife, and like slaps her on the butt and walks towards the living room, and then sees his wife like sitting on the couch, and he's like, "How'd you get here so fast?" And she's like, "Oh no, you probably saw my twin sister. She just got in from New York." And he turns around, and then twin sister's just like, "Come here." And I'm just like, why is the start to a porno on my YouTube Shorts? Like, why is this?
Hell yeah!
And I was telling my brother-in-law, he's like, "Oh yeah, that was a TikTok," and I'm like, this is why TikTok is evil. Like,
TikTok's actually having their something's getting revised because of like the rampant child pornography that's present there. And how and so yeah, I don't know like what's going to change, but I read something that like it's getting updated, because I was thinking about that too. I was thinking like, holy shit, like I mean, yeah, you can't be a teenager and be nude, but like, underage teenager be nude, but like you could be damn close to it if you wanted to. And TikTok does not give a fuck. And or you could be an adult and do nude shit and have followers who are underage, and you never know. Yeah. So yeah, it's bro. If I was a teenager, man,
I'm getting too old.
The youth don't even understand, man. How good.
I'm getting too old for this. I'm getting too old for this shit, man. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Okay, well, I'm getting too old for these fucking like teenager shit. Oh, I can't do it no more. I can't do it. It's just weird now. It's just fucking weird. Like
it probably should be weird, RJ.
Okay, I don't mean that in the sense like, oh, it was weird up until yesterday. I'm just saying, like at almost 29 now, and you're 30. It's just like it's just get fucking weird, right? Like I remember there was my old job. when I was like around 27ish, a coworker of mine who was 22 was telling me how much she fucking loved Billie Eilish, right? Like she's like, fuck, is so hot and everything. And I was
Billie
like,
Eilish.
I was like, no, she's a cutie. She's a cutie. But I'm just saying, like, I was like, I can't like ethically like fantasize about her or anything, because I'm like, she's fucking 18, 19 years old, bro. Like, it's just, I can't do it. It's just weird. It's just weird. Like to put in perspective, when Eminem's "Lose Yourself" came on or was aired, she was 1 year old, bro. It's like
crazy.
when you think about shit like that, it's like,
Well, like I
oh,
totally get, and I'm gonna try not to be this adult, right? But I 100% get like our parents and like our grandparents and the whole back in my day thing. Like we always made fun of our parents for being like, back in my day we did the like, and back then we were always like, man, you guys are old. I'm not gonna be like that. I'm gonna be a cool dog. I get it though, because some of the shit these kids be doing, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what is it like? Like you're stealing fucking bathroom equipment from your school. Like, how is that? What are you doing?
bro. Okay, if it's something if something as dumb as that, people have been doing some shit like that forever.
No,
But there are
true.
certain things though that I'm like, that I am kind of like, what is happening here?
Like
Like, I don't know
we've been
what the
playing.
fuck is going on.
Did you ever play Knuckles with coins?
I refuse to do any bloody knuckles.
Yes, I
Because
did too.
I already have sensitive skin, so I knew I was gonna be a goner. Like,
Yeah,
I just knew, and
I did too.
I
But
don't
like
really
that
have the.
shit, yeah. Like we did shit like that,
I
or we,
saw it. I saw it,
yeah,
and I was like,
or we would like snort pixie sticks.
okay, I didn't do that shit.
Neither did I, but
Okay,
like
that sounds
kids
like,
our age did.
yeah, well, they sure did. That sounds like white people shit. All right, I didn't do none of that. Anyways,
Anyway, we should probably get the video games.
comment below if you sniff pixie sticks, and if you've accidentally watched a hentai. So, but anyways, yeah, welcome to the podcast. This is where we're supposed to talk about video games in a smart way, in a fun and intellectual way. But first we're gonna get right into it. What we're playing. We skipped last week, so we have a little bit to cover here. However, for me, I just playing fucking Neo. Still, I got all the trophies. I'm just playing again. I'm like, there's like 5 difficulties, and then there's also the end game abyss mode, which has it's just a boss rush essentially, and there's like a 999 floors in it,
Mm.
but you only lock 10 at a time as you beat the difficulties. After you get to floor 50, though, the rest are open to you. But you can only get to only get the first 50 unlocked unless you've beaten the game on all 5 difficulties.
Mm.
So I've done 4, but like I'm also trying to like really perfect my build, really flesh it out, and because there's also some stuff I can like continue to upgrading and everything. So it's like keeping me in. But on positive news, some weeks ago I talked about Steep, the snowboarding like winter sports simulator game
Mm.
that I was playing. So there was a controversy with the Olympics. Funny thing you brought up the Olympics, with the Winter Olympics DLC
Yeah, you had
that
talked
had
about
dropped
it
for it
before.
back in 2017. So I bought the Winter Games edition, which comes with a voucher code, which is currently the only way to get a working code for it. If you're not in Brazil, because for some reason in Brazil, you can their store still has it. I don't know why.
Nobody gives a fuck about
But
Brazil. That's why.
well, don't say that, man. They have all the cocaine. But uh, but they or if if you're an Xbox owner, apparently you can get a code from GameStop on digitally for in the US at least, a digital code from GameStop on the Xbox version. Is really weird. I don't know why. But anyway, so yeah, I bought a copy. I got the code. Code doesn't fucking work. So I'm like, what? So I'm like going through online, looking at all the Reddit forums, because that's like the best place to find something like this for information. And they're like saying, "Oh, I gotta talk to Sony's people. We gotta talk to Ubisoft's customer people." So I did all that, and I'm going back and forth with the Ubisoft guy, because the Sony person was like, "Oh yeah, talk to Ubisoft people. They'll give you a new code. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. They do it all the time." I'm like, okay. So I go talk to Ubisoft person, and then they're like, "Okay, tell me what's going on." Like, tell them what's going on, and then they're like, "Okay, can you tell some pictures of like what the error message says, and like a picture of the voucher?" And I send them everything they need, and then they're back. They're like, I don't think this is gonna work." And I'm like pleading with them. I'm like, "You understand? Like, I know this is not a big deal to you. because Rainbow Six Extraction just came out, but this is a big deal to me. You don't understand. So like I'm like imploring them, like, please, like, whatever I have to do to cooperate with you, just tell me. I don't care if I need to buy a new game. Fuck it. I gotta buy a new, like, whatever. I don't care. Just tell me what I need to do. I cannot live without having these 6 trophies in my Steam progression. I cannot stand looking at this 86% trophy completion for the rest of my life. I will not die. I will not live. I will die. I will die. But and so I'm going back and forth. I don't hear anything for a little while. I assume because Rainbow Six Extraction came out. Like for like a week or so, I didn't hear it shit, right? So I started to check Reddit again and see if there's any updates from other people, because there are other people who are going through the same thing I am. And some dude posted up. He was like, "Yo, my code worked," and I was like, "What? His code worked? What the fuck?" He was like, "Yeah, it just worked." And I was like, "What?" So I go to my game. I put my code in. It fucking worked. It fucking worked. I don't know, because the Olympics are going on. They're like, let's reinstate all the Olympic codes or whatever. But it worked, and I did it, and I got the trophies, and I'm so happy.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, so that was me. Oh, I was so happy. I was. Oh man, Mountain Dews all around that night. I can tell you that. Yeah, I was a happy boy. But other than that, I've been playing Neo. Cool. What have you been playing?
So yeah, I was on the Microsoft store. And I saw this football game. It was on sale for like $15, so I decided to get it. And for a $15 game, it was really, really, really good.
What was it?
A little rough. If I needed to pay like $60 or like God forbid $70, definitely not worth that. It's a game called Madden 22.
I was gonna say. I was like, he's gonna lead us up to something. I know something's coming.
Yeah.
Also, I was like, I hope it's not Backbreaker for the 360.
No. Yeah. Madden was on sale for like $15, so I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
You actually bought it?
Yeah.
You were able to buy that game for $15?
Yeah, it's on sale for it's like $75.
Your wife let you buy that?
So
okay.
my friend in Alabama, that's like the only Madden he has, and he plays Madden extensively. So he wanted to play with me. Like he saw me on 21 and was like, "Yo, let's do a match." And I was like, "Cool." And then he was like, "Oh shit, you're on 21. I only have 22." So I asked her, and I was like, "Hey, can I do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Can I have a friend, please?
Yeah. But no, I mean,
I play with my own.
So yeah, it's it has the scouting update, which it really doesn't do much, but the gameplay is decently improved. Like there's still ways you can cheese the system. There's still glitches. At one time, I was playing the franchise mode, and I had played probably like I think it was probably like my 3rd year. I had simmed a whole bunch of years. And I was no, it wasn't even that. It was I was playing every game in the season, and I got to like this week 6, and I noticed some like I noticed the game breaking under its own weight, because some of the little like scenario cutscenes that you have for like talking to the media or talking to your players and stuff, and certain shit happens. They started to pop up with no avatars. Like it was just the background art with no like player or coach or anything.
No players. Yeah,
okay. So like a player should have been there, a player and a coach should have been there talking to each other, but it was just the text box in the background. And I started to notice that the screen switching, like to the tabs, were getting a little slower, and I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And I go to play my game, and it's like Seahawks versus the 49ers, or it was Cardinals. Seahawks versus the Cardinals. I go into it, and it's Seahawks versus the Seahawks. And I'm playing...
What?
Yes, I'm playing myself. And then like you can play the whole fucking game, but at the end of the game it crashes. And it freezes, and it doesn't do anything. Or you can try to exit out, and it freezes. And I don't know what the fucking fix was. I just kept on like restarting, like closing out Madden, restarting it, going in, wouldn't work. I like hard reset my Xbox. I unplugged my Xbox, and none of that worked.
Did you reinstall
and then I was just like, what?
Reinstall?
I did not do that. I was like this because my internet's shit. You guys know that. Um, it would take me like 24 hours to reinstall. Like at the most, I was just gonna start a new franchise and say fuck it. But like I shut it off for the night. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning. It was the weekend. I got on. I started playing it. And it was working. It was working again. So like, who the fuck knows? There's also like other interesting things that I just think like I don't know as like a person who cares about kind of like justice and stuff like that.
Justice,
No,
mad
like
injustice.
I'm getting to a point. I'm getting to a point. So like, do you know anything about the Deshaun Watson stuff going on?
No, I don't know who
Okay,
he
Deshaun
is.
Watson was one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. He plays technically still for the Houston Texans, but he has 22 current sexual assault allegations
God damn,
placed against him
is he
from
going for the record?
from 22 different masseuses.
One each.
Yeah, that
He
he
got
made
one each.
inappropriate comments, touchings, propositions to them
Oh,
while he was getting a massage. All of it right now is in like they're all going to get settled. Like none of them are going to go to court. He also has 4 other ones that haven't actually filed suit yet either. Anyway, he's going to play in the NFL again. People have done worse and played in the NFL again. I mean, freaking Ray Lewis most likely murdered someone, and he's a Hall of Famer now. So like,
what?
what? That's a whole other thing. It was acquitted on some some BS bullshit stuff, but he probably did it. You know, people have beat their wives and stuff like that,
That we do know. We do know
you
about
know,
that.
and played and stuff like that. Fucking all AB shit, Antonio Brown shit.
And all of listen, the goat. What's his name? With the dog fighting.
Oh, Michael Vick, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Vic. Let's
I
not
mean, in
forget
my
about him.
opinion, I love dogs. You know, I love dogs. In my
You do.
opinion, beating your wife is worse than dog fighting. So
It's not about worse. It's just about like they're both bad though. Like,
yeah, both
should
bad.
that be?
Anyway,
They're
so
both bad.
he's gonna play again. He's not gonna play for the Texans. They're eventually gonna trade him, but he will play for the NFL again. But one guy who won't, his name is Henry Ruggs. He was a first round draft pick for the Los Angeles Raiders 2 years ago, wide receiver, and he was drunk. Like I think his alcohol level was like almost 3 times the legal limit. I mean, fucking wasted as shit. Got behind the wheel of a car, went like 120 down the Las Vegas Strip.
He was in Vegas, of course.
And well, he's on the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, I forgot they're part of the Vader. I forgot they're in Vegas.
Yeah, and he ended up striking a vehicle and killed a woman and her infant daughter. So he's in prison and like he's doing hard time. Like he's 40 years. Like he's never gonna.
When did that happen?
Last year. During
last year.
Yeah, during the off season of last year, I believe.
And he's in for 40? Is that for real?
Something hard. Like he's doing hard.
Something long?
Yeah.
Something long?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Something long. Hey.
So it should be life, but I don't think he got life.
Get something hard and long.
But anyway, but my whole point in educating you all about this is that he's still in the game. Like he's a free agent. So like he's off the Raiders team, but they still have him in the game. Like, in my mind, you gotta fucking delete that guy out of the game. Like
he could easily be patched out. I think they've done that shit before. Like
like you gotta patch him out
all the time.
Because every time I have to go in and fucking like put his stats all the way to 0, so nobody like signs him, and eventually he'll retire at the end of the year because his stats are so low. But like in my mind, EA's got to take that guy out. I don't know how he stays in there, getting name recognition.
If that happened last year in the offseason, which is usually during the summer, right? Off seasons during the summer.
Yeah, but he was still programmed into the game.
So no. Okay, so that happened last summer. So Madden 22 came out last summer. So yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, they definitely could patch him out. for sure.
Yeah, well, like, and especially by now, like, even if it was mid-season, like, you still can. All you have to do is find his fucking line of code and just be like, "Nope, this guy's a murderer." Like, all right, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's fun. Like, yeah, it's
I guess he's
Madden.
playing that. I
I
don't know if
fucking
that's
hate
good,
Madden.
but he's playing Madden 22 and
Yeah.
having the time of his life? Question mark.
It's all right.
All right. Well, anyways, we're gonna move on to something happier. Well, not it might not even be, this might not even be happier, but our question of the day for us is gonna be, what type of a gamer pisses us off the most? And this came to me because I was talking to a friend of mine um, the other weekend about she was playing Bloodborne and I was playing Neo, and we were just chit chatting through the PS5 chat and everything. And I was talking to her about how I was playing Remnant, and some of the people who I was working with to get some of the trophies that I explained in some other podcasts they kind of brought up how they only fucking play Souls likes, like that's it, right? And for some reason, that just irked the hell out of me, and I don't know why. And so I was thinking about it, and I was just like, time. I let time brew on it, and I'm just like, yeah, I hate those type of gamers. I hate Soulsborne only gamers. I think those are the ones I don't like the most. Like more than like the dude bro, because you can find those anywhere in almost any game. You can find a dude bro somewhere, right? Who just sounds obnoxious as hell. Sounds like a frat boy, like when they have their mic on and shit and everything. And I think the reason why is because like there's just an innate pretentiousness with it. Because like now, like people have come, like now that game, like that franchise has become now a thing. It's like you have people now who only play that because like they're like that's the only game that like gives me any satisfaction. And I was like, what the fuck did you do before this? Like, did you only get into games when Demon Souls came out? Or you just like I highly doubt that because Demon Souls was like under the radar as hell, and so was Dark Souls 1. Like, it didn't really gain steam until around Dark Souls 2, even though that's not the best one. But that's when it really started picking up steam. Like,
This is
for the
where I
long, like
started.
I remember before that game. I remember like working at GameStop when that franchise was getting some steam, right? And people, I remember this one dude. I remember one dude who was talking about Dark Souls, and he was telling us about the respect it gives you as a player, the crazy challenge and all that stuff. He was like, yeah, it's like unlike anything I've ever played, and I was like Dark Souls 1 or 2, and I was like I never worked at GameStop for many years, and I only had one conversation with one customer about the Souls genre at all. Maybe you had a few more, but like it's nowhere near as much as what it is now. But like now you have everyone who just only plays that as if like I'm just like, bro, get over your fucking self, man. Like, okay, I get it. You're better than your average gamer. That's great, awesome. Slap, high fives all around. But like to the point where it's just like, especially if you goat about it, and you just brag
Yeah,
about
I
it.
would
Like that's the
say.
only game that I like. That's the only game that I can play. That like I get it if it's the only game that gives you a challenge. That's fair. But if it's the only game that can bring you any type of happiness or joy within a video game, I'm like, I feel like you're selling yourself way too short.
I would say as far as like annoying goes, I would say it's like in that situation. Like I'll have mine that I'll talk about in a second, but like to me, like I would understand if it was they were being pretentious about it. Like, oh yeah, I don't play any fucking kiddo games like Elder Scrolls or anything like that. Like you know,
Oh, okay.
like if they got pretentious about it, like that's one thing. If they're like because like there might be a certain genre of book that I only read science fiction because that's the only thing that like sparks my interest, or I only watch you know certain TV shows because that's the only like I understand that. I don't agree with it. I think like anime wise, I used to be the anime guy who would only watch shonen action animes. Like that's the only shit I ever watched, and I wouldn't even try any of the other thing. Um, and then but then I started watching fucking sport animes, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. Then I started watching comedy animes, and this is fucking amazing. Then I started watching romance shit, and now I fucking love romance shit. Romance animes might be my favorite fucking genre anime. Anyway, so like, I get people that like, hey, this is the only thing that like really does it for me. Like I've tried other things and it's not really doing it for me, but I very much like this thing. I'm okay with that. But I agree. Like if someone was like, "Yeah, I only played Dark Souls because it's the only one that really, if you play anything else, then like you might as well go fucking do a puzzle because that's as much challenge as that's gonna be." Like and there's people like that. There are people like that. Like I've talked to people, and it's kind of like what gets me angry, which I'll talk about if you're done here. But yeah, like that's my opinion on yours.
I'm not done because now you brought more discussions for it. So it's kind of like sometimes in speech, maybe you guys have been around. There's certain things that like when you say something, it just has a pretentious ring to it. You can do everything you can to possibly not sound like a dick, right? But it's gonna sound a little bit dickish, right? You could so maybe you've been in that position before, like maybe like you didn't have a challenge for something that gave hella people shit, right? And it's like very hard to say that in a way that people don't be like fuck you, right? Like it's really hard to do that. And so this is one of those things where it's like it's really hard to not sound pretentious when you say something like this, when you say like this is the only genre that I play, that I like to play. But also the other reason why is because this genre is only like what we're 2022 now, 12 years old.
Yeah.
It's only 12 years old. It's not as old as horror, action, racing, RPGing, like it's not as old. So it's like it's very unlikely that someone's first fucking game that they've ever played was a Souls game. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I'm just saying the likelihood of it is very low. So it's also like you played games before this, I'm sure. So what the fuck?
Yeah.
So that's the
So
reasoning
like
of my
something when you said, "Hey, you might have been in the situation." One thing that I've definitely done, and like I think I hopefully I realized at the time. I definitely realized when you were putting it that way is like I'll be talking to somebody, and they'll like a kid when I sub, right, and I'll see kids with like Attack on Titan stuff on their backpack or whatever. So I start talking to them about anime, and it'll be a conversation something like, "Oh yeah, like My Hero Academia, which is an anime I love. My Hero Academia is the best anime ever." And then I'm just like, "Okay, hold on." Like, have you fucking not seen any other anime? Have you not watched Full Metal Alchemist? Have you not watched Death Note? Like
You mean animes before they were born?
yeah, but that's what you're saying is like because I'll go at it with yeah, like what you like I take their opinion and then I'm just
You're talking
like
to children though, bro. You're talking to
I know
children.
okay, even like I've talked to people my age and they're just like oh yeah, like
Okay, that makes more sense
I
then.
talked to people my age
That
and
makes
like
more
oh
sense.
yeah, Attack on Titan's the best anime ever, and I'm just like I mean it's good, especially this the way they're wrapping up the series is good, but you can't fucking put Attack on Titan up with some other of these animes like
Of the
of
OGs, the
the
classics.
classics or even more like recent. Like in my opinion, and I mean this is all opinion, but in my opinion, Jujutsu Kaisen one season is better than first season is better than any season of Attack on Titan so far. So
I hope all of you anime fans who know what he just fucking said explode on the comments right
JJK.
now. Because I don't know. Because I don't know what we're talking
Anyway, but
about.
I get
So
that. I get
I'm
what you're
just gonna
saying.
say yes.
So I've been pretentious.
So yeah,
I've been
that's
pretentious
just
without meaning
that's
it.
just what it is. But like, I just don't like it. I just feel like, and also I understand having one genre that only speaks to you. If you've tried other things, right? Like it's just because I also used to be that kind of guy too, right? Like I like fighting, racing, and like most third person action adventures. Love my platformers. Well, I guess that's kind of varied in of itself, right there. But like the one thing I hated was FPSs, as you know. I despise first person shooters for like most of my youth in my teenage years, and then obviously, as you know, it took Metro Last Light,
Yep.
and then later Bioshock to make me realize that there's a different way to do first person shooters, and now I appreciate them and I can actually I don't mind that perspective anymore.
Yeah, to you it wasn't the genre that was bad. It was the stories.
It was the communities.
Well, the communities and the stories being told through that genre. Like you weren't meshing with these war hero stories. You wanted some.
Yeah, fortunately, it's always it was a first person perspective went hand in hand with shooter, and that was basically the only time you ever saw a first person anything, you know. So yeah, but it was mainly like I don't care for shooter games anyways. I don't care for military style games, and the stories are pretty bland. I don't like the narratives. I also don't like the perspective. I'd rather see the person. I don't need the immersion or whatever the fuck. I want to see the person. I have a better sense of I don't know. I feel like a better sense of control for me. But anyways, that's my thing.
So
who pisses you off? I'd love to hear.
Mine is like, okay, so I worked at GameStop a long time, and people know.
We both worked at GameStop for a long time. Like, yeah, because we're cool.
There's a certain genre of people who one of two things. One, and I get this one a lot less, but like comes in as like this guy, because fucking being a nerd is the only thing in his life. He comes in like he believes he's the god of the nerds or the king of nerds. Like he knows so much more than you do about any kind of nerd thing. And
like he wants to out nerd you, and
he's gonna freaking actually you like guys that like I'll be doing my job, right? And like my job is to be talking to this person and explaining games, and like, you know, the person I'm talking to, maybe they're not a hardcore gamer, maybe they just want to play a freaking mindless, you know, Call of Duty, or, you know, maybe if it's even Bejeweled or something like that, right? And I'm talking to a game, I'm just like, yeah, this game's good. It has good graphics and stuff like that. And then this mother over here just like, that game sucks.
He always butts right in, just right in, unannounced.
I mean, if you want to play a real good game, you should play Divinity 2 because it's
Divinity Original Sin.
And I'm just like, bro, like, you think this fucking 45-year-old mother of two is gonna be sitting down and playing Divinity second set? Like maybe, but this lady just brought me up Bejeweled and fucking Gummy Bear War game, and just like, which one would I enjoy more? And I'm not gonna be like, none. Play this game that even I can't fucking understand how to get past the first 3 levels of.
Bro, Divinity is so hard.
Those guys, like,
that game is so crazy.
Like them, or like, and then just like every now and then too. I mean, so like that guy sometimes is pretentious towards me. Like he thinks because like I'm in a GameStop and I don't know my shit, which I would say after 14 years, I know my shit pretty damn well. Like on the technical terms, not all that well. But on like gaming and how the gaming industry works and stuff like that, I might not know as much as people who are in the industry or have gone to school for it, but I know it pretty well. But they'll think that they know more than me. One of the people that also get on my nerves is like the people who, and I mean, if you're this person, and I apologize, but like I'm a nerd. I'm a huge fucking nerd, but video games is not my entire life. And like there are people that talk to me like it is, and like their life is all video games, and I don't know exactly how to like explain or like demo the conversation, but like there are certain people that I just can't, I'm just done talking to, because like they want to talk so much just about like their favorite game, and I can only take so much of it. Like
you're describing customers. You're not describing types of gamers. I mean, I guess they were gamers too, but but this is about gamers you've encountered, not particularly customers you're dealing with.
Maybe
you have to disassociate.
Maybe I just fucking hate customers.
Well, yeah, everyone does.
But like,
do you not have any types of gamers?
Well, like, okay, so like
you see
another game is like
any
any gamer that like discounts any different kind of gaming. So like, I mean, honestly, people who discount mobile gamers, it doesn't bother me all that much. But like people who discount like casual gamers, or especially like, and I've dealt with a lot of this, like girls, like fucking neckbeard bros who like, I can't tell you how many times. Like I used to work for a female manager, Alyssa. She's one of my favorite bosses, and we're still in touch. We're still friends. I would be going to her wedding, but money is not going to allow it, unfortunately. But I can't tell you how many times I have been there working as a GA, as SGA, and
which is a third manager.
Yeah, like a day shift manager.
So below assistant manager.
Yes. And she's working, and she will greet them, say, "Hi, is there anything I can help you with?" And they'll say, "No, I'm just looking," and then go directly to me. And it's like, "Hey, I have some questions." And like, I always, every single time, I was like, "Oh, I don't know much about video games or anything.
I just started last week. I don't know.
I don't know much. I'm just working here. You should ask her. She's actually super knowledgeable and is like, I don't know. Like I told her, like this one time, there was this dude that was just like, it was really pissing me off, like, because he had talked to her first, actually, and like was being like one of those like nerd king dudes, and was having this conversation with her and was like belittling her like in weird ways and stuff like that. I was listening to it the whole fucking time. I was getting pissed. I was so mad. And I was gonna say something to him, and then he comes over to me and like asks me. He's like, "I would that," and he literally was like, "I would ask her, but she doesn't know her stuff. So like, what about this?" He's like, "Well, actually, I don't know anything. I actually like I'm more of like a makeup guy myself. Like I know, like I'm just working here on the side."
Wait,
like,
wait. Did you say you're a makeup guy?
Yeah, no, I was trying to like as much as I could, just like
I want to make sure I caught that.
Oh yeah. I fucking laid into it. I was like, yeah, I actually like makeup and stuff. Like I'm actually gonna start working at Sephora. I don't know much about this video game stuff. I like playing like Wheel of Fortune. And I was like, she actually like, I don't know, she's like into nerd stuff, like Dragon Age, and I know she's 100% completed like blood boy blood something.
Blood boy. Like, that is something so I can see someone saying that.
And he just like looked at me and didn't even say goodbye. He just left the store. And then like Alyssa could hear me the entire time, and she's just like
dying
behind the counter, just dying. And I go back there, and she's just like, "Thank you so much." And I was just like, "Anytime, I fucking got it." Like, so yeah, those kind of people.
Wit. I wish I had that wit, because my story did not end like that at all. Not at all. This was at the Kent store when sometime after you left, and this was Metal Gear Solid 5 had just come out. And wait, no, were you working with me at that time?
I have no idea, bro.
No, you weren't with me when that game launched. It was the other manager, but Joel was still there. I can tell you that.
No, Joel.
No, you were there. You were there, yeah, because you got him.
I got Joel fired.
Sorry, no. MGS 5 had dropped because it was, remember the debacle with like the stand you set up with like the manuals and all that shit. And you were
I had Joel do that.
Joel fucking does. Or you asked me to like see if he did it, and I was like, I mean, kinda, but it's not really. But anyways, sometime after that had come out, I was, but this incident was after you left. And of course, that's something Joel was gone too. And I was a third key, I think, or I was manager on duty, and this GA, this girl G, I remember her. I can't not remember her name. Evan, if you're watching, you remember her. She was white, but she was also Spanish. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, she was a gamer for sure. Like she played games, no joke. Like like she knew her shit. She's actually smarter than me when it came to technology. She fixed our printer one time. That was fun. and she like rebooted our computers one time. That was awesome. But like, so she's a very smart woman, absolutely. But MGS5 had dropped, and some dude, some older guy, had came. He wanted to pick it up, but he didn't really know much about the series. And he's talking to her. I'm behind her. I'm right behind her, right? Because it was pretty slow, and I'm just chilling. And then they're talking, and then he says, I forget how he phrased it, but he said, like, do you mind if I, ask him? He's pointing at me behind her because, like, no offense, but you're a girl and stuff. And I'm like, what? And she's just standing there like, what? All right. I don't remember what I said, but it was nowhere near as good as what you did at all. I think I said something because she did explain some shit to him, and I've never played in Metal Gear in my life, so he wasn't gonna do much better with me. But I hope I said something like about what she said, sir. That's the answer to your question.
Everything she said.
Is I hope I said something along those lines, but it was nowhere near as good as what you said, as what you did. But yeah. I guess that's a little better. I guess because that can be translated to a type of gamer. Because there are plenty of fellows out there who definitely hate on girls because they're girls.
Yep.
Yeah. But and that first one you mentioned, the king of the nerds, like you actually out nerd you. I think that's more of a customer because I mean you don't get that in games. You get that like more in forums or in the comment section of stuff. I don't really notice that in when I'm playing a game with them, per se. And not until they started to message you because they're pissed you did something. And then you have a back and forth on the chat with that. Then But a lot of times they don't do that. So yeah. Also, I don't hate any of you guys, but you mouse and keyboard players, I can't understand you. I cannot understand you mouse and keyboard players for games that are not WoW, Dota, StarCraft, and like that type of shit. Like when you're playing like Resident Evil and like these or like Dead Space and you're playing on mouse, I don't understand you. I can't. I would not know what the like. How in the hell can you accurately and effectively use the WASD and arrow keys and mouse or whatever to move and play effectively? Blows my mind, and I cannot understand.
So like there's a huge split in the first person shooter community, between mouse and keyboard and controller. So a lot of times, just like anything for the PC master race, is there's a huge voice coming from the PC community that's just like, oh yeah, this is the only way to play. Anybody who uses controller is basically cheating because we get on controller, we get aim assist in online video games. And basically, it's not like a total lock on, but like let's say you're not touching your controller, and someone moves in front of you, it'll track just the teeniest bit to like draw it closer to the guy, like nothing super noticeable, but just like a tick, right? And it's because we don't have that total widespread control of a mouse. But like PC gamers will like bitch, like totally bitch on a controller player, because they think that it's cheating when they have just as much advantage because they have wider spread motion than us controller players do. But yeah, for games that it doesn't matter, yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand why mouse and keyboard.
I can't believe you know that. But for like those major PC titles, I don't know why you would use a controller anyways, though. Like for shooters, okay, I can see where we have this problem, like CS:GO, probably some COD or whatever. But like for the big games, that are in the esports, I don't think controllers are generally used anyways.
So I follow a couple. As long as we're talking shooters, I follow 3 different professional Apex players who are controllers.
Oh yeah, that's Apex, and Fortnite, I guess, but to a smaller degree. Oh, and Halo, and there's Halo. I know Halo still has a big professional community.
Yeah. But anyway, we should get to our main story before this. But story is like
the big boys though don't have controller. But anyways, main story, which I don't even know if we have main story. I feel like we kind of just had 3 separate sections that were equally long. But So I want to talk. So as most of you guys know, Cyberpunk 2077 dropped out. Finally, their next gen update.
About a year and a half late.
Did that game actually come out 2019?
Yeah.
Or was it 2020?
2019, I think. Maybe start of 2020.
I know it was December, but I don't remember what year in December.
If it was December, it was definitely 2019. Let's see. I'm doing Google research real quick.
Was it? He's
December. No, my bad. No,
Google.
December 10th, 2020.
It was 2020. All right, cool.
So again, about a year and a half.
Still late. A year. Still over not a year and a half, just a year, like a year and 2 months. But still, much later than what they told us. But they dropped their big old update. So now there is now a proper native next gen version. For Xbox Series X and S and PS5, and then the last gen versions actually have an update as well. I believe that fixes a whole lot of shit, and apparently it's really good. Like, this is actually an update people are liking so far.
Yeah.
And it's like it fleshed out the city or places, whatever. There's more pedestrians, just more stuff going on now. It feels more lived in, more filled out. Glitches and bugs are fixed. I think they actually added some extra weapons, some little secret things here and there. There's more apartments you can own. A bunch of other things too. But I just know those are some of the highlights. But the thing I wanted to pivot that to was that, so we have Cyberpunk 2077 was a disaster. Was probably the last worst one from Fallout 76, and then before that, No Man's Sky. In my opinion, as far as just big budget AAA debacles, blunders. However, Fallout 76 is getting updated, and they have fixed some stuff, but like that game's kind of fallen. Well, you don't really hear much shit about that game, even when they do update it. It's like whatever. But No Man's Sky has fucking done a Cinderella story for the ages. All right, it's taken 7 years. Well, actually, they got kind of redeemed about 5 years in, but that's maybe still a long time, less, right? Yeah. 4 or 5 years, right? But still, been a long time after it launched, and and they're still not done, right? They still feel this obligation, to kind of keep giving back, to make this game what it really wanted to be, and people like it now. People have nothing but positive things to say about it. There'll be some who will forever be scarred, burned, and will never forget. Hashtag never forget. But the general consensus on the game is very positive now, and so I'm wondering if Cyberpunk 2077 might go that same route. And then the follow-up is like, it's so interesting. Like, is this okay to do? Like, is this like, how do you feel about that? Right? Like, how do you feel about the idea that you can have a game that comes out so fucking bad and in like 2077, but you give it, I don't know, some years and 1,000 updates later, and it could become a fucking herald game. Rainbow Six had the same thing. Siege had the same thing. Came out mediocre, not bad, wasn't broken and shit like Fallout 76 or whatever, but like it was mediocre, boring, bland, whatever.
Now Sea of Thieves,
and Sea of Thieves to a lesser extent, but yes, Sea of Thieves. That game is now more fleshed out too. Actually has a lot of stuff to do. It's not boring and repetitive as much as it once was, and now, but Back from Six Siege, like now that's fucking, I don't know if it's in the esports scene, but it's fucking leading the FPS scene for sure. Like, people love that game. They're playing it like as if it came out yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just interesting how this happens. And like, so it's like, is this okay? Like, how do you feel about that idea? But first, let me just ask what your thoughts on like just the idea that a game can be completely overhauled to the point where people love it when they once hated it.
Yeah, so first, let's even focus a little bit more, and like, do I think that Cyberpunk is on that same path? I don't know. So, because
I don't know either.
Here's my thoughts on this. Okay, so to me, to make an analogy, right? Like, No Man's Sky, if it was like a toy, right? Like a physical plastic toy. All right, it was advertised as this, soldier toy that had all these like, it's gonna have sounds and it's gonna be fully articulating and it's gonna have, a whole like, uniform that's all detailed and all this cool stuff, and we were all like, oh fuck, that's all I wanted in a toy soldier, like that's so cool. And then you got the box and it was just the like the Joe, just the dude, like just that you could lift his arms up and move him around and stuff, but it was just him and his tidy whities, right? Like there was no guns, there was no uniforms, there was no tanks, nothing. Like it was just him. And yeah, you could play with him and you could be like, yeah, this is a toy soldier, I guess. But none of that stuff that was there was promised. And then eventually No Man's Sky added, gave you a uniform and gave you the guns and added the voice components and stuff like that. And then it became literally like, oh shit, this thing that I had at first is now this amazing thing that it was promised to be. In my opinion, Cyberpunk was similar to that. But I think it was, like that would be like if it was a random toy company that maybe you never heard of before. So you weren't sure exactly what you were going to get. Like it was, even though it was backed by Sony, you were still like, it's backed by Sony, but it's still technically like a pseudo indie game-ish kind of thing. But like Cyberpunk was, this was the fucking people that did Witcher. Like in our mind, Witcher was the baseline of this game. Like it has to be. Man, they made Witcher. It has to be baseline Witcher, and then it can only go up from there. Yeah. So, like in the same analogy, we got the toy, and it maybe even looked like it was supposed to have all the features. Looked like it was supposed to have the uniform and the guns and stuff. But then you took it out of the box. You went to go play it, and then it just crumbled in your hand, which is more disappointing to me. That a toy that I got, because with No Man's Sky, I got a fully functioning game that was a game. It just was nothing like I was promised. And then I got the Cyberpunk, which couldn't even be played with barely. And then on top of that, all of the features were shallow and not up to company standard or industry standard. So, in my opinion, they're different. In my opinion, I have more goodwill towards No Man's Sky for making a game and then realizing that, like, hey, we couldn't get all the features that we wanted to, but their base was still strong, their foundation. And then there's Cyberpunk, which just fucking kept on falling on its face. I also like. There's also less like in my opinion, like there's less that Cyberpunk can do because they're more constrained by the genre and by the type of game it is. Whereas No Man's Sky, they could do anything with it because nothing. Like one, it was more of a clean slate because it was less of a fully formed game idea, and they could take it wherever they wanted to. Whereas Cyberpunk has to stay within the constraints of the type of game it is. They like, I don't see it going the same way. Like it could get really good, it could get a lot better, but I don't think that it'll get to the same point that No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves got to. I think it might be playable, like a lot better playable, and it might be at the point where if it was at this state when it came out, because I haven't had a chance to play the next gen patch. But from everything I've been hearing, it's at the state to where if I would have played it like this when it first came out, I would have been disappointed, but I still would have had fun and probably finished the game. But I still would have been disappointed. And I don't think it'll ever reach what I or other people dreamed, whether that's my fault or their fault. Probably more consumers' faults for putting it on a pedestal.
A little bit of everybody.
Yeah, but
I will.
But at the same point, like I don't think it's going to reach those same heights that the other games that you talked about, because it's just too constrained. They would have to change pretty much the whole engine from what it was, at least when it first launched, to what we as gamers thought it was going to be, is my point. So kind of twofold there. It was more broken, more disappointing than No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves or even Rainbow Six.
That's okay. I mean, you make some good points there. Yeah, No Man's Sky did. I mean, it's funny to call it a benefit now, but it did have the benefit of being an indie developer and then going into a genre. I mean, I don't even know what the fucking space exploration, maybe.
Yeah.
Like it's a very undefined type of game, which that goes now to his benefit because now I guess that does give them more freedom to kind of just sky's the limit, really. And I guess Sea of Thieves, kinda.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't know what to call that game either.
Sea
I guess if you're
exploration.
really thinking about it, sea exploration,
Pirate
with friends.
sim.
So I guess that also kind of opens itself up to being able to go crazy with whatever they want to add. Because I will. I mean, I will say. I guess the big thing. I mean, you have a good point about it being constrained because it not only. I mean, I don't think the RPG is the constraint; it's the single player aspect that's the constraint. And because out of all the things we've all said, all those games have a multiplayer component to it. It's either multiplayer or they're in a genre that's not really defined well. Rainbow Six, Fallout, Sea of Thieves, No Man's Sky, they're all multiplayer and or in a genre that's like, I don't know what this is.
So well, we also something that you just brought up that I want to point on is that these games, like, they don't have a clear starting and end point to them. So they can wholly change the way the game functions, and beyond like maybe some of the things that you had done in the game or built in the game kind of become obsolete with the new functions. But they don't have like, they don't have the whole story that you would have to replay through with the new features or whatever. Whereas if Cyberpunk changes too much, then it almost changes the entire, like, almost unvalidates any progress that you had made in the game, because now everything is so different that you would have to go back and replay the game through. So like all they can really do is polish, not reform. Whereas No Man's Sky can reform and polish. So like that just clicked to me. That's the big difference. Is, in my opinion, Cyberpunk can only polish, whereas all these other games can reform the entire experience.
I guess we're kind of unfortunately showing why most publishers don't like making narrative-driven games. Because when shit like this happens, you're kind of fucked. You can't, unless you go back and you completely rework entire story beats of games of the narrative, you're screwed. Because like if you do that, even if it's for the better, you're still gonna have all the people that did before. They're gonna be fucked and pissed that you're like, what? All the shit I did before doesn't even matter. But all the people who come in new or just come in to restart will be happy because they'll be like, yeah, but like, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So it kind of goes back. It reiterates. I guess that unfortunately shows that point though of why, like when EA's like, we don't like to make narrative games. This is kind of why. But again, it goes back to that idea that like, like No Man's Sky and Sea of Thieves, that like, those games are very undefined. When you make these constraints, first person shooter, RPG style, very narrative focused, or whatever, those are very distinct and they have their strict rules and things we need to follow, and those are harder to rectify and change, because like if the problem is the story, you can't fucking fix the story, but like you can do everything around that, but that's still only so much, and that's not always enough to make the whole game play like more enjoyable. Yeah. Sometimes you get a game that the story sucks, but the gameplay is so fucking good that you're like, I don't even care. I just want to get to the next. I just want to just keep doing the action shit because it's so good.
Dying Light is a great example. Dying Light's story is B tier at the best, probably C tier zombie flick stuff, but the fucking gameplay is amazing, and I can't wait to play 2. I just don't have money.
Yeah, and two's been doing great. I don't know if the story's any better. I know no one ever really talked too much about the story in either. Really, no one's really like, "Oh man, I'm here for the story." It's like, you're here for the cool way they're twisting zombies and humans and the gameplay and the parkour and shit. And that's kind of how I felt about Mirror's Edge. Like I just love the freedom of just free running. And it was just great, like I just loved that. And so I mean, the story was okay. They didn't really put a lot of effort into the story, but like the free running and across all those buildings, like that was amazing.
Yeah.
But the point is that doesn't happen often. Very rarely does that happen where the gameplay is so good and the story can take a back seat. And I'm not counting Call of Duty or any military shooter; those don't count. But so that kind of goes against it. So and this was not one of those cases.
So just about like pushing it to, is this a good thing? Obviously, it's not. But is it a tolerable thing? I think is the better question. So I think it might be for some games a tolerable thing. Games that specifically for games like Sea of Thieves, No Man's Sky, stuff that is inherently changeable, so the experience is minimally affected by change, I think it's fine. I would even push it to maybe games that are like narrative driven, like games like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, stuff like that, could be as well. But I would say this: if this is going to become a industry standard thing, what I want to see now, do I think they're going to do it? No, because if someone admits to like weakness or that their game isn't going to be the best it is at launch. Sorry, my cat is making noise. If they admit to it's not going to be the great, best at launch, then that is going to impact sales at launch, which is the number one time that games make money. But what I would like to see is like, hey, we're going to come out the game. We know it's not going to be what we envision at first. Here is a roadmap. And here is everything that you can expect and dates that you can expect them. And if they hold to that, like, I would love that. Like, and No Man's Sky kind of did that. Once they got over the initial shock of like, your game has no game in it.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah,
here?
it's just this is like something that someone made on Unreal Engine. It's just like, here's a concept of a game. They came out with a roadmap and they were like, hey, we hear you. We're gonna put multiplayer in it by this time, base building in it by this time, like, and all these things, and they fucking hit it, and it was great. But again, I don't know if a game can come from the outright and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, because then everybody was like, well, then I'm not going to buy it until December, 2 months after, because that's the feature that I want. So
yeah, people already get upset when people put out their roadmap for DLC or whatever post-launch content they're planning to do. People already aren't really okay with just that, and that's assuming that they're getting a full game at launch from the start anyways. So yeah, that would be a very hard sell. That might come way to the future. Okay, for one, I'd be like, okay, at least you're telling me like what's up. I think just as long as you provide enough of, like, I think you just need to do enough for the game. Majority of people will be happy with whatever, and be happy. But because I go back to what I said before, as long as people are happy, they're fine with whatever bullshit you throw their way. And most times people are like, whatever, the game I have is great, I can move on.
I think
what you do after that is
so. I think this, like, let's take Cyberpunk for example, right? If they would have focused on the game of it, like made it a playable game, and maybe made the story, like the initial story, the focus, and less of these, like, because it does have a lot of shit that's like non-store related that is also half-baked, like the stores you can go into and like some of the side missions and stuff like that. Like, if they would have said, okay, let's get the gameplay and the initial story solid, and then they said, hey, bam, gameplay, initial story, maybe it's 20 hours long, so not that long for an RPG game, and then said, 6 months after launch, we're going to have, you know, 60 detailed side missions, like post-game content side missions.
People love them side missions.
Like, I think that would be a good way to do it. Like, it is hard to get, the entire story mission, the gameplay right, and then 100 side missions all done on time. So if they were to say, hey, we have this 20-hour storyline, maybe a handful of side missions, but on 6 months after launch, we're going to have 60 other, or like, well, they probably wouldn't say 60 side missions. They'd be like another 8 hours of gameplay for you to do.
Yeah, hours. You got to use hours.
Yeah.
You got to use the hours.
Yeah. We'll have an extra 8 hours of storyline. And then, 6 months from then, we'll have another 6 hours of storyline. And you do it like seasons, like how they have season passes in first person games and first person shooters. You have season passes of extra storyline. Like, you can play a whole like TV series, but in seasons and episodes. Like, you would definitely need enough game to make it a full-fledged $60 game, but then come out with, we're back to DLC, I guess, the concept of DLC, but like, a season, season 1, it'll have like a theme when you're playing the missions, and then season 2 will continue the storyline and stuff like that. Like, but then we're full fucking circle back into DLC, and if a DLC is okay, so who knows? Maybe we're just fucked.
We don't have the answers. We're just saying things. We're spinning ideas. But that'll wrap up this podcast today, guys. Let us know your thoughts on it. I know some people play the Cyberpunk 2077 update. Let us know. But are you guys still jaded? You're like, whatever, this still isn't the fucking game.
And more importantly,
which is fine.
Would you, if it came out like this on day one with the hype that you felt, if you can remember the hype that you felt, would it have had satisfied, or would you still have been disappointed? Like, where would you have landed if this was the first gameplay you had played?
Well, I just want a game that doesn't crash on me. Anyways, we'll wrap up this podcast, guys. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week. Yeah, I'm RJ. That's David. This is CHG. We'll see you guys next week.
Time, guys.
Bye, guys.